All right. We're going to go over how to put the model together. If you had a hard time with this, or if you just want to kind of check your model before you turn it in, remember the substance reference card is going to be super important here because we know that at this point that the iron pipes and the fertilizer became the new substance rust that was in the water in the people that lived in Westfield's homes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the repeating group of atoms for iron, and we're going to take the repeating group of atoms for the fertilizer, and we're going to use those as our reactants, kind of like we did in activity 2. So I'm going to go back into my model, and if you remember, oops, I got to make a copy of that. If you remember back in our previous model, rust has 2 atoms of iron in it. So I'm going to take 2 over right away because from the last activity I learned that I need at least 2 iron atoms in my reactant side. Okay, then I'm going to put together a molecule of fertilizer. So we had sodium. Oops, did it again. Gotta make a copy and paste it in. Okay, so we had sodium, and we had 3 oxygens. So I'm just Control C and then Control V is pasting those for me. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of put those in here for now. And I know that if I go back and look, we had 1 nitrogen. So I'm going to make a copy of one of those, put it in, and it kind of looked like this. It's not exact, but it's pretty close. Okay, at that point, we know that we had iron pipes and we had fertilizer that was made of these atoms. Now, going back and taking a look again at what rust looks like, we need 2 iron atoms and 3 oxygen atoms to make a repeating group of atoms of rust. So I'm going to go back and remember this is a molecule. I'm going to go back into my model, and what I'm going to do is kind of think to myself, okay, well, I have 2 of these available, so I'm going to show by making a copy of the 2 that I have. Okay, I've got the 2 iron, and I know I've got 3 available oxygen atoms to rearrange, so I'm going to make a copy so that I can put this here, and I'm going to kind of connect those together like it looked like in the previous, on the reference card. And there we go. Okay, that is the chemical reaction. The thing that I would be wondering right now if it was me is what happens to this sodium and what happens to this nitrogen atom. They don't seem to be involved with the rust molecule. Okay, so and thinking going on to chapter 3, that may be something that we're going to look into a little more in detail, because I'm not sure that we can just make atoms disappear. Okay, we've learned that we rearrange atoms; they can't disappear. So something must be up with the nitrogen and the sodium atoms. They have to go somewhere. So what happens to those 2 atoms is probably a great question right now if you're thinking scientifically. I'm not going to do this part with you, but what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to add an annotation in. I'd like you to describe how the iron pipes and the fertilizer changed into rust. Something you may want to add in your annotation would be how the properties changed. Okay, for instance, the iron pipe was gray, the fertilizer was white. Okay, but after we took atoms from each of those, we ended up with this brown substance called rust. So that's an interesting property for it to change that much. But remember, different substances have different properties. Okay, and this particular arrangement of repeating group of atoms, when we get enough of those together, ends up being a brown color. It's very interesting. All right, so make sure that you get this finished. I'm hoping that these feedback videos are helping, and we will get back at it on Wednesday to take our critical juncture.